How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike The Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
I'm still depressed over Overshown. That was my guy. Like McQuamu for you a couple years ago. Overshown was my guy.
Yeah.
And I know we're talking about it here, but that is just to lose him for the year. And with that injury and the things you have to look at Cox. It took him we lost him for 2 years. Gallup, we lost him for 2 years. Like they played, but they weren't up to their standards. So it's a brutal injury.
All right, I guess that'll give the front office an excuse to bring back Hurst, I hope.
Oh, that would be nice. I love him as far as a leader goes. He's so good. Continuing, I'm at CD Piglet. I'm going to yell at my dog really quick.
Yeah, guys, Mike, thank you for sharing where you can find yourself on Twitter. Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_15. As Mike was alluding to, to lose DeMarion Overshown for the year, that's a big gut punch. But, like I was just saying, maybe that gives the front office an excuse to bring back a guy like Jaron Kearse for another year or two. He recently tweeted that he wanted to get paid, and, maybe this could be a blessing in disguise because I think, as Mike was saying, that he's a good leader. I think he's good for the locker room. He's an older veteran. I mean, we've seen what he can do. He's an important piece of this team.
I ran the dog off, and I hear him. I mean, as I'm turning around, he just lays right back against
No worries, man. That's dogs, dude. That's the life of a dog owner, sir.
Yeah, I know. I try not to let them impact the pod ever, but that incessant, because he'd have just done that for the whole hour or whatever we're going to be on. He did tap, 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 tap. Hey.
Doing a little Billy Madison on you, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Tap, tap, tapping it in.
Brat. He wants to go in the house. That's why. And he's stuck out here right now, so.
I got you. Have we ranked? We haven't ranked any Adam Sandler movies, I don't think. That might be a fun top 5 to do one day.
Did we not?
No, I don't think we did.
All right, well, let's add that on to sometime in 2023. We'll put that on sometime this year.
I know we did like favorite 90s comedies, I think, and I feel like you might have had 1 or 2 in there. I think I did too, but maybe that's what you were thinking about.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're right.
All right, Mike. We have an interesting discussion to have tonight. But before we discuss any football, we have to discuss one thing and one thing only. Of course, I'm referring to Meatless Monday. Mike, what was on the menu today?
Dinner was gnocchi with casso de pepe. It's a French or something like that, but it's basically cheese and pepper sauce.
A lot of pepper, right?
Yes. I took it, and I like a lot of pepper. So, yeah, and then I topped it with some Parmesan, and it was delicious. It was so good. Yeah, I wanted to do – I've been craving a quesadilla, and I wanted to do one, but I need to start using some of the stuff. Like I buy it, and I think about stuff to make with it, and then it's like, just make a quesadilla. Yeah. Well, I got to use some of this stuff sometimes,
Right. Have you ever had I'm sure you've seen it, but have you ever experienced it where like you order that pasta dish and they bring out that wheel of cheese and they make the dish like the pasta sauce right in that wheel of cheese? Man, I've seen it. I'm like, dude, that'd be cool. That'd be cool to have. It looks delicious.
You know the one I haven't done where they heat the Parmesan and then scrape it off right on. I haven't done that one before. I've seen it, but I've not done
I've never seen that.
They'll bring in the big like wedge of Parmesan, and they'll heat one side of it, and then they'll scrape it down right onto your plate. I want to do that.
So, Mike, I know you recently finished your reset. Was the quesadilla the first meal you had, or what did you end up having?
No, the first meal I had was I went out, and the person I went out with had a choice. They hadn't seen me in a while, and they had a choice of anything that they could want, and they ended up wanting to get pizza. And I was like, all right, I'm fat. I'm going to eat pizza, but really? Like, we can go anywhere, have anything. Pizza? Yeah. So Yeah, we had pizza and some carnitas fries. So it was
Oh,
good, but like, I would have went a little bit more, I don't know, special.
I got you. I got you. All right, Mike. Before we go into an hour long food talk, let's talk some Cowboys. And we were talking about the DeMarion Overshown injury. He's gone for the season, and an injury like that, does that just kind of justify why you don't start important players, your starters in the preseason?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. It's just not a good risk reward. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? 2 series?
Exactly. Yeah.
DeMario Overshown in the 2 games
Right.
was his 4th series, and now we lost him for the year. Now,
Mm.
Overshown, you have to play. He's a rookie. He's learning to play. Clark, you have to play. But like Dak, Pollard, Micah, Tank, Gilly, Diggs, like Curse, Hooker, I'm not playing any of those. Martin, Tyron, I'm not playing any of those guys a single snap. It'll take them a series or 2 to get back into rhythm. It'll be all right. Even in the crazy scenario that kind of thing costs you a game because you're playing a really good team early on. I predicted us to lose to the Giants because I thought it would cost us a game. And I'm like, rather lose one game than lose Dak for the year,
Exactly. I can't speak for you, Mike, but, speaking for myself, I wasn't really sure what to expect from DeMarion, this first year, but I felt like towards the end of the year, he was going to be a bigger piece of this defense. And like I was saying, man, this is the gut punch. Well, what expectations did you have for DeMarion in his rookie season?
I thought he would be a weapon year one that wouldn't get a lot of snaps, somewhere in the 25 percentile of defensive snaps, kind of like Sam Williams last year. And that kind of impact.
Right.
Would have an interception, would have a couple pressures, maybe a sack, would have a bunch of tackles when he played. Like, his one thing in college was he didn't have the instincts. And since he got with Quinn and them, there was somebody who was talking about he looked like a 5-year vet out there. He was always around the ball.
Oh, wow.
He was green dot during training camp. Like, he would have had a really good first year. He would have been, I think, Sam Williams, where at the end of the year, we're like, all right, we got a guy. Let's see the jump he makes now in year 2. But I think we would have known we got something special in the 3rd round.
So another player that's, he had a big play in preseason. He's kind of been making plays throughout the off season is Juan Thomas. What does this Overshown injury do for him? Do you think he makes the final roster?
It's not cemented. It definitely helps because they have safeties that can play linebacker, and it helps our very thin linebacker room. Right. But I think that the team may want to keep stash a guy like Isaiah Land, because safety is one thing, but you don't want to risk an edge rusher, to the market. You don't want to risk a tight end. Like if Stevens was there, that would be a guy that, he also was injured, but that would have been a guy that you could stash. So I think that it could, but I wouldn't guarantee it yet because there's a few spots that Dallas might go, I don't want TJ Bash to be exposed. I don't want Land to be exposed, so I wouldn't guarantee it quite yet.
What about, we're talking about linebackers. What about Jabril Cox? Has he earned a spot on this roster?
On the roster, yes. He definitely will make the roster. The team is thin. He's a special teams contributor. I think he's showing that he could play some with the starters. Do I think he'll get a starting role? No. I think that the starters will be LVE, obviously Clark, and then Curse will go back to his hybrid role. And then from there, he'll battle with maybe Harper or a veteran if Cowboys decide to go that way as the next guy in, the rotational guy.
We'll go off the show sheet here. Mike, are there any veteran linebackers on the market that pique your interest that you've heard maybe some whispers that Cowboys are linked to?
Honestly, not me. I there's none out there that I'm like, I rather just, for the position we're playing, I'd rather just Harper and Cox get more time. They're going to be rotational.
Yeah.
If you bring a guy like Anthony Barr in, like we did last year, look how many snaps Anthony Barr got. Like, I'm not looking to give that many snaps to a veteran. So no, not maybe you trade for one, maybe you make a trade, but they've already done Gilmore and Cook, so I don't know. You're not going to try to pick this year, but maybe a next year's day 3 pick, go out and send one in for a vet if they really think the position just needs some hit behind it.
Yeah.
They'll do it that way.
Right. A position group that we're not lacking depth, being the secondary, a guy, EJ Scott, man, who just keeps showing up week in and week out. Where do you have him ranked among the secondary players?
For me, he would be, I got Gilly, Diggs, and Bland, obviously, as the starters. Izzy, if they need him to play corner, would be up there. He may be also be safety, though. J-Lou, depending on injury. And then Joseph has had a pretty solid camp and is a core special teamer. So I think Scott would go somewhere after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere the 6th and 7th, depending on what J-Lou's health is like.
Yeah. Interesting, man. So, I hadn't heard a lot about Kelvin Joseph recently, but I'm glad to hear that he's had he's kind of turned things around. It sounds like maybe he might stick on the roster after all.
The move to the inside, I think, has helped him a lot. I think it was Marcus Mosher that said something is like he's allowed 13 yards through 2 preseason games. He's had very good camps. Anytime he gets beat, they're going to show it. But you're going on one-on-ones with receivers like CeeDee Lamb and Cooks, you're going to get beat some. Even with good coverage, CeeDee Lamb was getting the ball on him. But if they're showing up and playing. Bones Fossil, our special teams coach, loves Kelvin Joseph. So he has to play bad enough
that's good
for a player to make it over him and replace him on the special teams. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, well, you factor in the draft capital, and it sounds like, John Fossil being a sponsor, you can't really get rid of a guy like that.
I agree, especially if in year 3 he's starting to play well at his position. Like, he's not going to be a guy that's going to start. He's a depth piece. So, why get a guy that's showing signs and he's perfect? What do you want out of your depth guys? You want him to maybe be able to step in and get snaps in injury situations and play good in special teams. Well, that's Kelvin Joseph. I don't like that for a 2nd-round pick either. But it doesn't mean that, now you got to forget about that kind of. You're in year 3. You're just trying to put a championship team together. If that's where he fits, that's where he fits.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he, like you said, if he's turning things around, man, and, you still have him for another year, what's the point of cutting him, especially if he's starting to show something?
Yeah, I agree. And Nahshon Wright hasn't played any better than him on the field. He's not as good a special teamer.
Right.
Our guy Scott is likely a guy that makes the roster as a draft pick, but is an inactive, player. So, that he's going to be like that last guy. Him and Goodwin are going to be those guys where Goodwin doesn't play cornerback at all. And then Kelvin Joseph's your emergency depth guy if injuries happen. And they're both great special teamers. Well, CJ Goodwin's great, but Kelvin Joseph's pretty good.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Mike, I didn't get to watch the game. I had family over, and we just spent time together. The game was kind of the last thing on our mind. I imagine you watched it, just for Cowboys Wire and just for something to do. I heard a lot about Mozzie Smith not living up to expectations or having a bad game. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? What was going on there?
Yeah, he struggled. It was funny because I've talked about this on Twitter. Ever since the pick, you guys know this is my position. Like, I love one techniques. I've been trying to get this position forever. But I told people when Mozzie was drafted, he's not going to be this huge impact guy year 1. It's just not how the position works. You go down the line, Dexter Lawrence took 2 years. Quentin Williams took 2 years. Jordan Davis had a bad rookie season. Derek Brown did not have a meaningful rookie season. There's a difference between being the strong Jordan Davis and Mozzie, strongest college players you can get, and going into the NFL and dealing with NFL strength. And I'll give you guys a perfect example, right? So Mozzie plays against the starters in Jacksonville. They play him a ton of snaps, and he has great snaps. He has some bad ones. You know, he gets tired and has some bad ones, but he's throwing guys around in there. He has great snaps. Okay. In college, you know, he plays a team like Chattanooga State and a guy that's just not up to his competition. And he doesn't really get worn out by it. And then you get a week and you practice against guys, and some colleges have really good guards and some don't. I don't know if Michigan guys were drafted, if they were great or whatever. But there's ways you rest more and there's ways you rehabilitate better. Now, you take it to the NFL level, this guy, they're trying to condition him to play in games. So they played him a ton of snaps, like 35 snaps or something. And then you wear yourself out playing the ones. You're tired, you're fatigued, you're not used to it. You played a ton of snaps. Then you get to go and get a rotation of Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, TJ Bash. Hell, even Josh Ball played better this week. So you get that for a week. That you're not playing against college guard strength. You're all NFL guys. And then you go in and they throw him against the number one starters again and play him another 30-something snaps. He wasn't ready for it. His body didn't recover like he's used to. He was tired. It happens all the time. And I heard people talking about the difference in what he was asked to do in Michigan and what he was asked to do in the NFL. And that has some part of it, especially when you're tired, you revert back to your stuff. But honestly, it's not even that, because that was a problem against Jacksonville. Same thing. He's learning new stuff. But he had great snaps against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
He wasn't worn out by playing a game 35 snaps the week before and then going into a practice, getting ready for another game, and then playing another 30-something snaps. You know, this is the way it's going to be in the NFL. He's going to get weeks where he plays against weaker offensive lines. He makes some splash plays. He plays, somebody gets injured and he plays too many snaps one week, and then he goes in and he's not as effective the next week, and then he faces a really good guard, and that guard moves him around and he looks like he can't play and he's not ready for it, and then he's tired for another week, but then he gets some wind and he has another week where he plays good, and you're like, oh, here we go. Now he's going to make a jump, and then he gets a bye week, and then he plays good again, and you get excited. Then he plays 2 weeks where he plays better guys. And that's going to be the year he has. It's just how it is. That's just the position. And people think, I was saying it, Jordan Davis was my favorite pick last year. He was the player I loved. And I told everybody, it's going to need a year. It had nothing to do with Philly. It wasn't I was biased. Derek Brown's a Panther. I don't hate him. Quentin Williams, I loved, and I'm a Jets fan. I like the Jets. I knew he was going to be a year. Carter this year. I tried telling people, Jalen Carter, he's going to flash a lot. He's a special player. He'll make some sacks. And he'll also struggle most of the year, holding up against double teams, recovering week to week. Do you know what it's going to be like when he has to go Zach Martin 1 week and then go through practice against the guys Philly has, and then go another week against he's going to have weeks where he struggles. It's just how it is. So get used to it this year. You need a year of NFL peanut butter, as Vaughn Lombardi would say. Build up. Teach your body how you're going to have to recover from these games, how you're going to have to recover from the toll that you take playing NFL football. I get it, guys. He did this on a weight machine, and he's strong as hell. And guess what? Larry Allen struggled as a rookie, and he's stronger than Mozzie. There's NFL strength is different. Those inside positions take time. Tyler Biadasz, people thought he wouldn't be able to play with big guys. And now he's going up against the biggest dudes in training camp. He's going up against powerhouses in the middle, Hankins stuff, and standing them up. It's just how it is. It's the positions inside like that. DT is like that. So before the draft, I told y'all to temper expectations. And now when you guys, the ones that are calling him a bust and he's terrible, what a waste of a pick. No, it's not. Chill out. He'll be fine. He'll have plenty of good snaps this year.
Yeah.
He just needs some time.
Please tell me Cowboys fans weren't saying it, calling him a bust already.
Oh God. Well, this is basically how it went. It went me going, guys, I get he's a first-round pick. He's going to need time. Hankins is the starter. He'll be a rotational guy. He'll play inconsistent. You're an idiot, dude. This guy's strong. He's fast. You don't know. He has Dan Quinn. Okay, man, whatever. Those same guys now are like, oh, man. And the thing is, they saw Micah Parsons. Then they saw Tyler Smith. They've seen Zach Martin. They've seen Tyron. Even though Tyron didn't have a good rookie year. But they seen LVE was a Pro Bowler his first year. Too many guys were good in the first year. And so expectations get really high. And you get this guy, no more quarterback sneaks. We're going to stop the run. We got everything. It's like, yeah, he's going to help, but he's also going to get pushed around a little bit in games. It's just how it is. He's going to be inconsistent.
Yeah, and in Mozzie's defense as well, that Seattle offensive line is, man, it's stout.
Yeah, it's good. And he, in the first, preseason game, he faced the Jags ones, and the Jags ones aren't anything great, but they're still number one starters, competitive game, and he played 35 snaps. He was worn down.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited for Mozzie nonetheless. One rookie that I haven't heard a lot about, Mike, and I'm curious as to your analysis here on him is Junior Fehoko. Is he a sure shot to make the team? Will he make the team? Should he make the team?
I think he will. We're pretty good at keeping our draft picks, especially a player like that he was pretty versatile. He was our highest graded defensive lineman versus Seattle. He had a pass rush win rate of like 36.5%. He played a really good game. He was killing Josh Ball in practice this week. So, yeah, I have a feeling they'll find a way to maneuver the roster, cut CJ Goodwin, cut Brian Anger, cut Will Greer. They'll cut the right guys and bring them back after DeMarion Overshown goes to the injury reserve. After that stuff happens, then they'll maneuver guys on. So, yeah, I have a feeling Junior Fehoko will make it. The other Fehoko, I don't know.
Send me. He had a good game too, though.
No, I had one catch for -2 yards. The game before,
man, I swear I saw
catches or something.
Oh, was it the game before?
Yeah, it was the Jags.
I thought I saw people hyping him up on Twitter.
No, not after last game. He was getting if you throw it to Simi, something's going to go wrong because there was the interception that pretty much ended the game. And he's struggling right now, and he doesn't bring a lot past playing receiver. And he also is 3 years into a 4-year deal. And we got, Cropper and Jalen Brooks and all these guys who have longer deals now and can help more in special teams, stuff like that. So, Fioco's spot's in danger, that's for sure.
Again, going off the show sheet, since we're talking about receivers, it's Jalen Tolbert continuing to shine. And now I'm hearing, I heard Brian Broaddus talking about how he might start taking snaps from Michael Gallup. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he'll get some rotational snaps in there. Like he'll take snaps, a few from Lamb, a few from Cooks, a few from Gallup, but right now, Gallup's making money, and if we know anything about this team, they will follow the money. See Ezekiel Elliott top 10 in rushing attempts. They're going to give the guys the ball that they pay and try to make them look worth it. So I don't think he's going to get that. I think he'll get plenty of snaps, but I don't think it's going to be like he's going to be at even snaps with Michael Gallup. He'll rotate and take snaps from a lot of different people.
Mike, I know we are excited about this draft class, but one player that we really couldn't put our finger on was Deuce Vaughn. Could Deuce Vaughn go down as the best pick out of this entire draft class?
I think he for sure will be the best value because you got him in the 6th round, and he's going to be somebody that makes plays for you for the next few seasons, you know?
Yeah.
I still think Scooney and Mozzie, Schoonmaker as a tight end too on a team that likes to run a lot of that, to set up their run and play action. And Mozzie, over the 4 or 5 years of their rookie contracts, will end up being pretty impactful players. And then God forbid if Overshown's able to come back and be the guy he looked like he was developing into. Yeah, this draft class could be better than people think. You know, they're freaking out about it 2 preseason games in.
Sure.
But I'm thinking 4 years from now, and I'm liking the chances of this being a really good draft class.
Yes, sir. Overall, Michael, what are your thoughts on this Dallas, this rookie draft class that Dallas has?
Up to this point, it's tough. It's tough for them to be impactful on a roster so loaded. Like Mozzie Smith, you know, people talk about the Eagles, right? They lost Hargrave, and they go, well, we brought in Carter. I mean, that's a lot to ask for a rookie to replace a Pro Bowl 3 technique who was a pass rush machine, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have that on our – Mozzie Smith is going to be behind Hankins. He's a rotational guy. Schoonmaker as Ferguson and Hendershot that he's going to rotate in with. DeMarvio Overshown's obviously gone now. Deuce Vaughn, you know, they have Tony Pollard. He's not coming in to be a number 1 guy. Rico Dowd is a special teams guy, looks to be the running back 2. And Deuce Vaughn's your specialty guy. He'll get a handful of carries and touches every week. Fihoko, how often are you even going to play him? Does he get 20% of the snaps with how many defensive linemen you got? So, you know, Scott, we just went into how many corners. He's probably going to be inactive most weeks. He's a developmental guy. So, you know, I think year 1, he may be the most impactful, Deuce Vaughn. I think over the course of the contract, he'll be the best value for what they got. But I think he could be as much as the 4th best pick when you look at the first 3 rounds.
Yeah. I guess not just Mozzie Smith, but we should temper expectations on this entire draft class because you bring up a good point. I mean, we have such a loaded roster that we might not really get to see what this draft class is for 2, maybe 3 years.
Think Sam Williams came in, got 4 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss. He only had 27% of the defensive snaps. You know, he just wasn't a big impactful player, but you could see that's what you want. You want when Schoonmaker plays to see him block well, to see him bring down the ball and not just what you got out of Ferguson last year. Look for Scooney. What you got out of Sam Williams last year, look at that for Mozzie. What you got from well, you're going to get more from Deuce than you did out of Jalen Tolbert, so that should be a positive. But that's the kind of expectations you want to set on a team loaded like this.
Absolutely. All right, Mike. Now here we are. You're getting closer and closer to the season, but after the second preseason game, who's stuck up and who's stuck down? Who are your stuck up, stuck down players?
All right, so I did one of each because it wasn't set how many, and these were the 2 main ones for me. We talked about one. I got to give Kelvin Joseph a stock up. He was our 4th highest rated defender. In the Seattle game, 4th highest rated defender. He's had a good camp. Like the worst you could say is that his camp's been solid. It definitely hasn't been below average or poor or anything. He's been a good player. And he's likely made the team because he's a special teamer and he shows upside on defense. Stock down for me is Malik Davis, and it's not that he played better in the second game. It's just that he looks like a guaranteed practice squad guy, and the reason I say that is the last game when they needed pass protection, they'd take him out to bring in Rico Dowd. Rico Dowdle is the special teams guy.
Mm.
So if you're measuring who's the quote-unquote number 2 back behind Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle does the things you need that guy to do. And then Deuce Vaughn's your specialty guy. So, and then looking at it, if I'm another team, right, Malik Davis gets cut. He's on the market. If you bring that guy in, he's got to be part of your 53. Okay, do you want to bring somebody in that doesn't play special teams? He had 1 special team snap next year. That's not a good pass protector. He's not going on no team is picking him up to be a top back. So he's going to have to play special teams. So I just think that he's destined to be a practice squad guy that moves up occasionally if somebody gets injured on our team. And going into the year, there was questions about him being the legitimate number 2 Zeke replacement. And now, for me, I think he's almost cemented as a practice squad guy for us. So I'd say you got to put him stock down for that.
Yeah, it's one thing about Rico. People have been excited about him. He just can't stay healthy. But when he is healthy, man, he's shown something. I think he'd be a nice compliment to Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the 3. I think Pollard, Rico Dowdle, and Deuce Vaughn are the guys. And then if there's an injury, I think a guy like Ronald Jones would come back, or a Leonard Fournette type signing would happen.
I wouldn't hate Leonard Fournette. I mean, he still has a little something in the tank, and he can get you those tough yards. He's still a threat as a receiver, and he's good in the red zone.
I agree 100%. I wouldn't mind having him at all.
All right, Mike, let's talk a little Hard Knocks here. The second episode was good, not great overall. It's been a decent show, entertaining to say the least. We talked a little bit about Quinnen Williams. Is Quinnen Williams the next elite defensive tackle?
Yes, he is. He's a monster. He is going to be a problem come week 2. He will be an issue to deal with. Luckily, for us, it looks like our interior is better than our tackles. I mean, you got powerhouse Tyler Smith in his second year. Biotish looks like he may have taken a leap, like I'm going to get paid leap. And then Zach Martin's the captain. So, and again, let's take this back to Dallas. Quinnen Williams took 2 years before he was doing anything impactful. He was drafted before Mozzie. He was thought higher than Mozzie, and he took 2 years.
Yeah.
So just be prepared to see a person be very inconsistent, and then likely going into year 3 be like, okay, now we're going to get the stellar guy we've been waiting for.
Yeah. One player on the Jets, again, going off the show sheet, McDonald, a guy that was rumored to the Cowboys, dude. Man, he's looking him and Quinnen Williams and Jermaine Johnson. I'm not, haven't seen a lot about him. He didn't do too much his rookie season, but holy cow, dude, McDonald looks like he could be very special.
Jermaine Johnson was my number 1 edge guy. I was one of the few. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson was the guy. So I'm not saying anything like, oh, look what I did. But I was very high on Jermaine Johnson. I expect him to be a stud this year. And Will McDonald, he had a second-round grade for a lot of people because of his size. But you're starting to see why he went, what was that, top 15? Top 20 for sure, but he might have been like the 15th pick or something like that. So I
think he was the 15th overall pick.
Yeah, they have some edge rushers to go with Quinnen Williams in the middle. Robert Saleh is building his Niner defense, and this time he has Aaron Rodgers, instead of him going to Green Bay and getting Alex Smith. Now Aaron Rodgers is on his team.
Yes, sir. We have a comment from our guy Prescott, Mike, and he's a little late here, but he said, whoever has already begun penning the letter to send home Meemaw, detailing the story of Moz, the bus that never was, might want to consider saving a stamp and holding off for the time being.
I so agree, Meemaw. For real.
Oh, man,
he ain't lying.
A funny guy, dude.
It's great.
Yeah, one thing about the Jets, it seemed like at least Aaron Rodgers might have been concerned is with the offensive line. You're looking at that. What are your thoughts on their offensive line? Is that a concern for you as well?
Yeah, their offensive line is like ours after one of our guys gets injured. So you know how right now we're like, okay, we're good, but if we lose a guy, oh God, we're on shaky ice. They're already on the shaky ice. They're right there, and they're an injury away from being like, okay, this is going to keep us from being a contender. So yeah, their O-line is a real issue.
Yeah, you think about it. Mekhi Becton recovering from an injury. Dwayne Brown recovering from an injury. Elijah Vera-Tucker only played 7 games last year. Now he's dealing with an ankle injury. Those are 3 big boys, dude. I mean, they played a game last week without either one of their starting guards.
And Tucker and Becton have shown nothing that in the league that they can stay healthy and play up to a high level. Now, their talent says they can, but you still have to see it.
Exactly, yeah.
This fool.
Yeah, and it's they invest. Is your dog acting up again, Mike?
No, the dog is it's nothing. Don't stress.
Okay. Well, I know the dogs are family men, so we always gotta look out for our fur babies there. One thing that was kind of weird on the Hard Knocks was, of course, all the rookies get hazed. They have to go up and sing or perform or do something to earn their spot on the team, if you will. Mike, have you ever been bullied or hazed?
No, I was definitely I was in high school. I was like 6'3", 320 pounds. And so I was the hazer. I would go around and like stone cold stunner people. Like, I was like a pretty like laugh, like not take it seriously, like laughing guy, but I was a shit talker, make people laugh, but at people's expense, So it was all in good fun. Right. I wasn't a mean, like bully type person, but everybody knew if they came at me, they had to watch out. So I was gonna hit them quick. I wasn't the one to go at. So yeah, I was a hazy, not a haze. I was a hazer, not a hazy.
You were good for a tongue lashing.
Yeah. Yes. Not like what we were talking about pre-roll, though.
Gosh, I hope not, Mike. Okay, the Jets made a big move. They go out and they get Dalvin Cook. How much better, if at all, does Dalvin Cook make that Jets offense, Mike?
Not really a lot. He's another solid player, but it's running back. They had a guy already, Hall. So he'll be an extra guy to hand the ball off to, protect the offensive line, help in play action. His efficiency numbers were going down, and he's going to probably a worse offensive line now, even run blocking. So, he's a name more than he'll be a big factor. Not that he will not be any factor, but it's not something like, oh, they got Dalvin Cook, now they're gonna, be more of a contender.
Yeah, for me, I was looking at it. Another player recovering from injury, Breece Hall. He tears his ACL last year. Dalvin Cook, I feel like, brings at least some peace of mind for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense. Being a veteran, I don't think, could easily earn Aaron Rodgers' trust. I definitely think he helps improve the Jets' red zone offense as well, because he has a nose for the end zone.
Yeah. That, like I said, it's not that he's no impact, but he just isn't.
Oh, no. Yeah, I didn't think that at all.
He isn't like, oh my God, they got Dalvin Cook, they're going to be a problem now. I think
exactly, yeah.
He's a good second with Breece Hall. It may hurt them if they do an Ezekiel Elliott to Pollard, where Dalvin Cook starts getting more carries than Hall. It might actually hurt their efficiency.
I kind of was, like the idea of getting to see a little bit more Michael Carter with Aaron Rodgers, the receiving back out there in New York. I think him and Aaron Rodgers, that could have been pretty fun.
Yeah, with Abakandi and pardon me if I say that wrong, and Cook and Hall
Zonovan
on
Knight.
Madden. Michael Carter got
Yeah,
put on their
Deuce Hall.
practice squad, and I went and swooped him up. So I have my three backs are Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn, Michael Carter, and then I have Rico Dowd on my practice squad.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice, very nice. How's that
I'm
new
not
Madden?
stupid. Same old. It's fun if you need a gameplay wise. If you want to play football, you get fun out of it, but it has the same BS stuff as every Madden does. But I like the training and off-season stuff more, and I do more of that than I do playing the computer. I don't play it online. That's not my thing. So, yeah, it's better, but it'll be one. Then in a few weeks, I'll be like, all right, I'm ready to play Hogwarts again.
Oh, Hogwarts, interesting. All right, Mike, here we are with your views from the sidelines. Mike, what have you learned about this Cowboys team this offseason?
That they are thin on on offense, really, behind the like 12 to 15 main guys, like your 11 starters, Schoonmaker, Tolbert, hopefully one of the young running backs. They don't have offensively, they're not deep like they are defensively. Defensively, knock on wood, Micah Parsons is healthy. Everything else, I think you could lose a piece and survive at three different pieces. Could have injuries, and you could come in and still be the number one defense. Like they're that legit and that stacked. On offense, they're like the wrong one injury, and I don't mean quarterback because that's anybody. The wrong one injury could like knock this team for a loop if they had one. They're real thin.
Yeah, I don't even want to say his name, but there's a player that comes to mind that's like, I think we could overcome it, but man, I don't even want to think about how long it would take or what it would look like.
Yeah, there's a top skill position guy, and there's a really good interior guy that any one of those, and you're gonna be in trouble.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike. Here we are with one word. I was getting caught up. I almost jumped ahead here, but one word, Mike. Deuce Vaughn adds blank to the Cowboys' offense.
I'll make it simple. Playmaking. I think look at the one carry. Got his first carry. He goes up the middle, breaks a tackle on a spin, runs in for a touchdown. That's the type of things he's gonna do. He's gonna be very 1 or 2 yard, -1 yard, 1 to 3 yard, hit a screen for 40. He's gonna be that type of guy. So I'm excited because that's not bad to have out of one of your top 3 running backs, because you got the number one guy who's a playmaker that could break any play, but will also be efficient. You have Dowdle for the tough yards, special teams, the blocking, and then you have Deuce Vaughn to be a guy that may not be efficient play in and play out, but efficient overall because he hits big play.
Right. I would imagine, man, Deuce Vaughn probably getting maybe 7 to 10 touches a game at most.
Yeah, sounds about right. It'll probably average that. He'll have some games where he'll get 3, some where he'll get 12.
Yeah.
He'll average somewhere around the 7 to 9 mark.
I'm totally fine with that, especially with his playmaking ability. But for me, Mike, one word, Deuce Vaughn adds uniqueness to the Cowboys offense.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. If you watch players try to tackle him, he gets hit in the shoulders and head so often because they're used to that being the running back's waist.
Right. And I just think, man, I'm not, don't know what Schottenheimer, how creative Schottenheimer can get, but with Pollard and Deuce Vaughn and the other guys, Brandon Cooks, of course, CeeDee Lamb, it'll be interesting to see what kind of wrinkles he adds to that playbook.
Yeah, I'm excited. They're using the running backs and tight ends so much better just in the vanilla preseason. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, I forgot to add this to the show sheet, but last week we introduced a new segment, True or False. So I'm going off the top of that head here, but true or false, Mike, the purple bag of Doritos, the sweet chili, are the worst of the bunch, are the worst of the Doritos.
You should know that there's only one Dorito. Doritos are nacho cheese Doritos. That is the Doritos I eat. Those are the only real Doritos. All the other flavor ones are not for me. They're they're diet. That's Diet Coke. That's all that stuff. So I've never tried those. I'm not interested. I don't eat Cool Ranch. I don't eat spicy nacho. I don't eat Flaming Hot. I don't eat taco. Doritos. Doritos are Doritos. We know what the real Doritos are. Those are the ones I eat. So you would have to tell me. So I'll say.
Okay. You've tried all those other flavors you've named, though, correct? Even salsa verde. I know that's my guy Prescott's favorite flavor of all time.
I've tried a Cool Ranch before. Didn't like it. I've tried spicy nacho is decent, but I don't get it. Somebody else had it. And that's it. I haven't tried any other of the flavors.
Oh, in my personal opinion, man, my God, the purple ones are so bad, and people rank them above nacho cheese, Mike.
There is no ranking above nacho cheese. Doritos are nacho cheese. Then there's all your other fake bullshit. That's all underneath. Nacho cheese, Doritos, I don't call them nacho cheese Doritos because Doritos, that's the flavor. Doritos are Patrick Mahomes tier 1. All the bullshit flavors, they can fill out everywhere else. I don't eat them.
I do feel like if you told somebody, hey, will you grab me a bag of Doritos? 9 times out of 10, they'd come back with nacho cheese.
It is. And the one that doesn't do that needs to get punched in the face. He fucked up.
Mike with the strong takes on Doritos. Okay, here we are with top 5, and I thought this would be an interesting topic tonight, Mike. I picked this one myself, but we're going to do top 5 kitchen staples, and just for some context here, we're talking about things in our pantry, freezer, or fridge that we can't go without. We left out meats because that seems obvious, and I asked about seasonings. I know you said you didn't include any on your list. I didn't have any on mine either, but I thought that could have made for some interesting ones too, because you can't have, I can't, there's one seasoning that I really can't live without. I didn't add it to my list, but all-purpose seasoning, for your meats and stuff, you've got to have it.
Yeah, I went a little different. I didn't do mine food-wise. I think this is the chef in me.
I gotcha.
So I have no food on mine at all, 0. So we'll go through the list, and you'll see where I came from when I was thinking kitchen staples. I was thinking it from a chef's perspective. So this should be interesting. Ours are going to be way different.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Michael, start us off. Number 5.
Vacuum sealer. 2 main purposes. 1, I like to cook in batches and then vacuum seal the food, put them in the freezer, makes for easy meals. I got a bunch of people that live here. When I'm going on my reset, I'm not cooking anything. They can just grab something out of the freezer, heat it up. The other reason is I have oh my God, sous vide machine. Man, that blanked out of my head. I don't put that in my staples because it's very rare I use it, but it's a temperature control cooking mechanism that you use in water, and you vacuum seal the food before you put it in so the water doesn't get in there. And so the vacuum sealer becomes pretty important between those 2 things to my kitchen.
Yeah, Mike's gonna have a fancy list. I'm over here basic, but Mike,
mine's bougie. Mine's bougie.
I wouldn't expect anything less from you. But yeah, number 5, I went with butter.
Butter. Oh yeah, we're gonna have Paul's gonna be butter, salt, pepper,
No.
parsley.
No seasonings, but all those things are true though.
Yeah, oh no, you need butter. Like, it's funny, like the ways that I learned to substitute butter on my reset has been crazy. But there's not really a substitution for butter. Like, olive oil mashed potatoes are really good, and if you know how to season them, they're delicious. But they're not the same as when you use butter. They just aren't. So, butter's a good one.
All right, Mike, number 4 on my list. This might be a strange one, but Ziploc bags.
Ziploc bag, similar to the vacuum sealer. I went bougie. Mine's the bougie version. Yours is the regular common man. We don't vacuum seal our food. We stick it in a Ziploc bag, dummy, and we put it in the freezer. We don't do all that bull and spend $200 on a machine.
You do a lot more, like, you'll do a lot of batch cooking and then you put it in the freezer, things like that. And if I were to do that, I would definitely want a vacuum sealer.
That's true, but a lot of people would just put it in a plastic bag and stick it in the freezer. They do this where they press the air out of it. Yeah, good enough. Zip it up right in the... Like, you don't have to have a vacuum sealer, Vacuum sealer makes it to where it's better quality for longer. But if most people are doing it and eating it within a week or two, like, you don't have to have it. I'm bougie.
Well, let me, before you move on to your number 4, Mike, I'm curious. Whenever, like, you go to Costco or Sam's, whatever, and you buy a big batch of, like, a chicken breast, I imagine you divide them and then use the vacuum sealer to store them and keep them fresh in the freezer.
Oh God, I'm going to sound even worse. I would probably buy a cheaper thing, like a whole chicken that's less per pound, carve it off, take the pieces, and then use the carcasses to make a stock and then freeze the stock so that, I get more bang for my buck. It's a little bit more work, but I get more bang for my buck. I get stock out of it. I get breast, thighs, I get all that stuff out of the cheaper cut because you're making them cut the breasts for you, which is fine. I do that too. But when they do that, they're going to charge you more per pound for it.
Oh, very good point. All right, Mike, what's number 4 on your list?
4 is the easy one, the Instant Pot or Instapot, as I call it. I basically use it for rice and beans when I'm making rice and beans. That's the main thing I use it for. It's like a rice cooker. If you like beans, if you want to take dried beans and make them a little bit more flavorful instead of just taking canned, you're doing something bougie. Boy, that word's coming up. The Instapot's perfect for that. Now, it does a million other things very, very well, and I've used it for other things. But I would say 10-1, I make rice and beans separately in it for every one other thing I do in it. So,
Instapot, sous vide, and air fryer are like the next toys that I really, really want for the kitchen.
Do you want me to just go into my number 3?
Yeah, go for it.
My convection oven, which is a giant air fryer. That's for people that don't know. When they ask you, do you want convection oven on your oven? The answer is yes, you do. Because an air fryer is this big. And if you're feeding more than one person, you don't have enough room to put everything in there and have it fry evenly and well. So if you get a convection oven setting on your oven, you have this giant oven that is an air fryer now. And now you could put, enough for a family of 8 in there. You could air fry a damn turkey if you want. Like, just get a convection oven and use it, and there's your air fryer. And that's another, bougie number 3 on the list. So your first, my bottom 3 are basically your next 3 you're going to get.
All right, Mike, number 3 on my list. You're really, really going to hate this, but it's so convenient on a busy weeknight. I don't have time to prep, or I didn't thaw any meat or anything, take meat out of the freezer. Frozen pizza.
It's fine. It's fine. Fine. I don't look. There's a difference between
it's
like
$3 and it feeds the family.
It's different. Is a difference between look. It's been a busy day, and I got to throw some frozen pizza in the oven. There's a difference between that and having one of your top 5 pizzas be a goddamn frozen pizza. All right, you put a top 5 pizza, frozen pizza. Now that frustrates me. But the frozen pizza I don't eat frozen pizza, but the frozen pizza is a staple. I understand. I get it. I vacuum seal food. It's the same principle. It's the same thing. I just happen to be making the food before. So it's the same principle. It's not that I don't eat frozen food. I just am not a fan of frozen pizza. I typically make a spaghetti sauce or a marinara sauce. I freeze that. And then I have crust of pizza frozen, and then you take that out, and then you just buy some cheese and whatever toppings you put it on there, and it's pretty fast. By the time the oven preheats, you can take your sauce out, put it on the pizza, top it with cheese, top it with toppings, and it's basically my way of doing a frozen pizza.
A side note, what are some good crust that you'd recommend? Store-bought pizza crust.
I love the cauliflower crust from Winco. If anybody has a Winco there, their cauliflower crust is really good. Trader Joe's has great cauliflower crust, traditional crust, deep dish crust. Also, getting like a good focaccia bread that already is like kind of pizza-esque in flavor, and then just topping it with some sauce and cheese is really good. Yeah. So there's a bunch of options out there. Hell, I'll even get a Pillsbury Doughboy friggin', one that you pop like biscuits and roll out. Yeah. And they're not terrible. I'm bougie, but I'm not that bougie. You must hand toss your pizza crust. You must throw it in the air and hand toss it before every pizza you bake. No, I'm not that bad.
All right, Mike, number 2 on my list, brioche bread.
Oh, good. Short. See? How do you follow frozen pizza with brioche bread?
That's why it's number 2.
Yeah, it's a good one. French toast is elite with brioche bread, sandwiches.
Oh, my God.
Brioche buns for burgers, anything brioche, because all it is, guys, it uses more eggs. It's all it is. That's the whole. What makes it brioche bread? Eggs. A bunch of egg yolk. That's what makes brioche bread.
Interesting. But, dude, French toast, I can't have it any other way other than brioche bread.
Oh, I agree. I'll steal some Texas toast or some you know what? I'm not even going to say the last one. I'm bougie and stuck up enough. I'm not even going to say it. But Texas toast or brioche bread are great French toast breads.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike, what's number 2 on your list?
Chef's knife. My chef's knife.
Oh,
I have
man.
2 of them, a little bit larger one for bigger things. And then my typical, I have like a 6-inch, just a little small for I'm a bigger dude. But I like it if I'm just doing vegetables. And I also like it if I'm peeling. I use the back side of it. So, yeah, my chef's knife, can't live without it. So that's definitely got to be in there.
Man, I can't imagine if chef's knife is number 2. Can't imagine what your number 1 is. Mike, what's number 1 on your list?
Extra bougie. I waited a couple years to get this pan because it's really expensive, and I have, like the chair, I have to make sure that I do things financially smart. And he's absolutely right. Challah bread is great. The one I was going to say is Pen Pardue, but I didn't want to go all extra bougie, but it's similar type. That's a really big-ass bread that you have to do overnight. But a La Crusette Dutch oven. I have a 9-quart one because I need one that can feed a bunch of people. It is an extremely expensive Dutch oven, but it's unbelievable conduction of heat. The heat conduction and the sear. There's no spots where it's where this spot was hotter than the other, and one side's brown, one's gray. It stays hot perfectly, and it is perfection to clean. It is easy to clean. I don't care how much you get the dark spots. You let the fond go too long, and it gets really dark. It comes out. Period. It just is a joy of a pan. And I have a Vitamix, which I was going to put on the list, but honestly, I don't use it I use the food processor more than I do that. So this Le Creuset Dutch oven, I use anytime I make risotto, anytime I'm making a braise, anything like that. This is the perfect pan, and it's worth every penny if you can afford it. It just is. It's expensive. Golly, it is expensive. I 3 years before I had enough to where I was like, okay, I'm going to get this now.
Interesting. Le Creuset Dutch oven. Dutch oven, though, man, that does come in clutch, sir.
I could be saying that name. It's French. It's LE space CRUSET. So for me, it's Le Creuset, but I have no idea how they actually pronounce that.
Yeah. All right, Mike, number 1 on my list, eggs.
Eggs, yeah. If I was doing a food list, eggs is easily by far number 1. It's not even a second. It is literally called the perfect food. It gives you, if you only ate eggs, you could grow up and be strong and have all the muscles you want. You could work out, be a crazy maniac just off eggs. It's perfect protein. On my reset, I would say of the 20 meals I eat, 14 of them contain eggs in some form or another, because it's a way to get your protein without having to eat meat.
It really is the perfect food, man.
It is.
It's so versatile.
It's perfect. Man, I wish I could flash the picture up. I made these sunny side up eggs during the reset that were they were magic, dude. They were perfectly cooked. I loved it.
I still don't understand. My wife despises eggs.
The one that gets Guy Fieri. How can you be a cooking show guy and not like eggs?
I know.
That blows my mind.
It really does. Well, Mike, man, as always, I enjoy the conversation. We could not keep it under an hour, but top 5 usually does that to us.
I tried, man. I really did try. I was trying to speed through and not talk so much about my bougie stuff. But let's go off the air so I can tell you what was happening where you were like, what's up with the dog? You're going to want to hear this.
Okay. Well, Mike, before we get you out of here, remind the people they can find you on Twitter.
At CD Piglet, guys. Letter C, letter D, Piglet. Nice and easy.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.